This is To the Point with Michael Williams.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tori Dunnan in for Michael Williams. Early voting is now open for the Congressional District 20 special primary. The seat was left open earlier this year with the passing of Alcee Hastings. This is the first election since the new voting law was signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis. The law changes vote by mail. It also restricts the number of drop boxes, among other things. We're joined now by Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections, Wendy Sartory. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So as we mentioned, early voting began yesterday for the special primary. And as voters head to the polls, try to explain the differences that they may or may not notice when it comes to this new law.
So when they come to the polls, they're really not going to see a lot of changes as it relates to the law because the 150 feet distance had always been there. When they come for early voting, it also now applies to drop boxes, but our drop boxes are so close to the doors that it really doesn't expand it very much. No water or food or things by third parties will be permitted within that 150 feet.
Is that a new?
That is. That's
okay,
all
that's
part
new.
of the new. That's part of the no solicitation. But we're not expecting huge lines for this early voting period. So hopefully that's not going to be a major problem for people.
And getting ready for these changes, has it been a decent amount of work for your office?
Sure, because anytime there are new things that are going on, and with early voting, we have our pilot program where we're having all the express votes. And it's a really exciting way that this is equipment that we've been using in our county for two and a half years now. It's been used in the state of Florida for about 6. But it'll be the first time we're having everybody in early voting use it. So it's a ballot marking device. It's a touch screen, but it only is marking your ballot. It still gives you a paper ballot. So you're still going to get your paper ballot, which you will then use to put in your tabulator. But it's for early voting. It's the first time we'll have everybody using that.
Okay, so testing that out somewhat and
right,
how it works.
Making sure that we're ready for that. And then also just making sure that we've got drop boxes have to be monitored differently now.
Okay.
We have to have at least we have at least 2 people at every drop box during its open hours. And that's whether it's at early voting or at any of our 4 offices. So that's something that's different as well, scheduling for that and making sure that we've got that covered.
Tell us a little bit about the expectations for turnout for this.
The turnout for the special elections tends to be more along the lines of a municipal election, which of course is much lower than others. We've done a lot of promoting, and so we're hoping that will help. Plus vote by mail, even though there are a lot of changes because of SB 90 to vote by mail, there was a grandfathering period. So everybody who had already had an all elections vote by mail request for 2020, if they had extended it, they still have their vote by mail.
Okay.
So we're hopeful that will help to increase some of the voter turnout as well.
And you mentioned to me right before the show, you're doing kind of a vote and vax event as well. Can you explain that to the viewers?
Sure. During early voting, so during the entire early voting period, we will have at our 4 main early voting sites, so not at our Belglade office, but at the other 4, we will have either the healthcare district or the health department will be out with their mobile units. And when you go to vote, we're open from 10 to 7, but the vaccine mobiles will be there from 12 to 7 every day. So it gives the voters an opportunity to vote and vax.
Okay. Any key deadlines or anything important that voters need to know about for this special election?
Well, of course, for this election, the deadline to register to vote has passed, as well as the deadline to be able to have us mail you your ballot has passed. But voters can still come in through Monday to pick up a ballot at our office if they choose to do that, rather than going to the office or going to their polling location. So those are the big deadlines for now.
The big ones. Going back a little bit and talking about this new voting law a bit, you were on the record against the new voting law, saying that it would cost your office more money. Can you explain kind of the money trail there and how that would work?
Right, so the new law, and actually all 67 supervisors were against the law when it came out. There were a lot of changes made to it which were helpful to us. But part of the reason is one of the things it did initially was take away the drop boxes, Well, we had a lot of, almost 100,000 people use that drop box during the general election. So we know it's very popular and it helps people, especially with concerns about the mail. But not having the ability to put the check boxes on the envelopes. So now I have to reprint all of our envelopes. That's a big expense. There have been some changes to the certificates, which means I have to reprint all of those envelopes and provisional envelopes. Also, it costs us more money to man the drop boxes. So we always had 24/7 video surveillance. At night, we had the sheriff's deputies there, but when we were open 24/7, now it has to be one of our staff members.
And not a deputy.
Right, not a deputy. So
okay. Can the deputy be the second person or no?
The deputy, we could pay if we chose to have a deputy there overnight to protect our staff folks, but our staff people, because it has to be our staff members, not temporary employees or anything, they're pretty busy during election time and I really can't afford for them to be working through the night. So right now, we have limited drop box hours, but they will be attended to by our staff.
Okay, so you made the adjustments regardless and it's all in play right now.
We're making it work.
Right. There's also a new memo that was released a few days ago. It was from the Florida Supervisor of Elections Association. It had a message to elected officials saying, tone down the rhetoric and stand up for our democracy. It also asked elected officials to denounce false claims surrounding the 2020 presidential election. Why do you feel that this message was so important to put out there? And what were your initial reactions when you saw the memo?
When I saw the memo, I think all the supervisors feel like we had a very successful 2020 election. There was not widespread fraud, as has been reported. There already has been out in Arizona. They did the big audit. They did not find the votes that they were looking for to find. And Florida, we have a post-election audit that we're required to do, and we all did them, and they came out very well. So we've already proven that this wasn't an issue. And so continuing to have that rhetoric is just a distraction, and it really gets people upset and gets them questioning whether or not this works. We invite people, I looked at it as it's an opportunity. We invite people into our voting election center to say, come do tours with us. Come let us show you every single process that we have, because we feel like once people understand it and understand the protections that are in there, they feel better about it. So we've looked at it as an opportunity, but we're really asking the elected officials, stop, take a breath, understand what's there, ask us questions, get educated about it, rather than just ginning up people's anger.
Fueling the fire, so to speak.
Yeah.
That same memo mentioned some supervisor of elections offices being threatened because of these claims. Has that happened specifically to your office or to you personally?
We have. We have had threats in our office, against the office generally, and against me personally. None of them have been things that we've deemed incredible, very credible, or that we needed to take big action on. But I know in other counties they have, and they have to have police protection around the clock, some of them, and even to their homes. So we've had reports of other supervisors have people at their homes waiting for them to come out in the morning, and they have children and doing that. So we've not had that here.
Right. So in your eyes, is that another reason to tone down this rhetoric as elections are happening?
It is. I say there are ways, if you question the process, that we're very transparent by law and also by practice. We go out of our way to make sure that people are comfortable with it. So there are very peaceful ways for you to come in, make requests, look at anything you want to look at, see what you need to see. Everything that we do is done in the public, or you have the opportunity to do it. The new law did in fact give additional opportunities for certain categories, whether it's candidates or political parties or political committees, to see additional things even. Right. So those opportunities are there to do in a peaceful way, and we want people to come in and be comfortable because democracy depends on it, but we don't want it to be done in a violent fashion.
So let's talk a little bit about what's happening on the federal level. Senate Democrats are pushing a new voting rights bill. It would allow automatic and same-day voter registration and also bolster security on voting systems. Is this something that ultimately you might support?
I don't know enough about how they would do the same-day voter registration. The states that we've talked to that do have it say that that has some more potential for fraud, perhaps, if it's not done properly, because you don't know if somebody is registered in a number of different states. By having the advanced voter registration, we're able to have the state run the checks, make sure that the person is eligible to vote, make sure that they're a citizen, make sure that they haven't had their rights taken away for voting, or that they haven't been adjudicated mentally incapacitated. And so doing that same-day registration doesn't really permit you that time to do that. And other states that we've talked to have not reported good results with it. So I think a lot of it would be the devil's in the details. Okay. How does it work, and can it be done in a way that supervisors will feel like they can maintain the integrity of their roles?
So at this point, it's too early for you to say
Right.
whether or not you would be supporting it until more information comes
Right.
out. Okay, thank you so much. We covered a whole slew of topics, and hopefully the elections go smoothly for your office.
Thank you.
We'll be checking back in with you.
I appreciate
Thanks for
it.
coming in.
Thank you.
Well, Governor Ron DeSantis calling for a special session. Still ahead, a roundtable discussing the governor's push to ban employee vaccine mandates.